Lloyd. Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So everyone, thanks very much for coming along this morning again. This morning is another day to excel your business. And we have a great speaker this morning called Chris Cramer. All right. So Chris is, he's a retired corporate lawyer. He's 67 years old, which when you see him, he certainly doesn't look it 100%. He's traveled the world. He has lived and worked in the UK, Switzerland, Singapore, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Alaska. And what he has done his whole life has been investigating companies. So no better man than to investigate CFX today. All right. So he's been involved in various entrepreneurial projects parallel to his legal background. So he's always been an entrepreneur, both in his legal and also in his other businesses as well. So he's always run them, two of them together. So CFX is his first MLM company that he's actually been successful in. All right. So I know a lot of us are thinking, oh, it's all the due diligence and stuff like that. We all do our own due diligence, and we advise all our prospects as well to do our own due diligence, because at the end of the day, it's your investment and you have to do what's right for you. But Chris, as a legal lawyer, he has done all of that for us, and I'm going to hand you over to Chris. So Chris, thanks very much for coming on today, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I better say good day as opposed to good morning, good evening, good night, or whatever. Good day, or in Australia, it's good day. I have spent a little bit of time in Australia, but not enough, I should say. Thanks for that introduction. First thing I need to explain is, why am I an investigator? Well, if you think about it, that's what a lawyer is. Perhaps not a criminal lawyer, but a good lawyer is an investigator. So I've been investigating companies since I was in my early 40s. That's my job. And a lot of the time, what companies have retained me to do is to make sure that they don't do anything illegal. In other words, prevention instead of finding a cure. If a lot of companies do things that are illegal and they don't even know it, and that includes taxes and VAT. They don't realize that they're doing something illegal. So I've been retained by many companies from all over the world to try and make sure that they are not stepping on the wrong side of corporate law. But it's really interesting. What I've discovered along the way is that I know what makes a company work. I know what makes it fair. And that is not because I'm smart or anything like that. It's simply being 40 years in this business. And I heard you say, Celine, everyone should do their due diligence. I think that can be a little bit misleading, because if I ask anybody on this call, how do you do your due diligence? Pretty much everyone will say, well, I do use Google. I mean, just nod your head or raise your hand. Have you Googled? Yeah, okay. Google, for me, is the same as a public toilet wall, where anyone can write anything. And if you believe some of that stuff, you're a sad person. So what it does is, the truth that is on Google is also very dissolved by the falsities that is on there. And any professional, I think I've said this before on one of these calls, if you went to see your lawyer or a solicitor, and you said to him, you start to tell him your story, and you say, well, have a little bit of a problem in my life, and you explain it to him. If he then turned around in his seat and Googled your problem, what would you do? And it's the same thing as if you go to see a doctor and you tell your doctor where you've got pains, and he gives you a puzzled look, and he just says, well, let me Google that. I think you'd change your doctor. So people, you've all seen it, what's written on Google about CashFX. Some of it is true, that's the good stuff, but very little good stuff is actually written there. What people love to do is spread bad news. And that's been coming up to a crescendo recently, where bad news travels fast. We all know that. You know, Why do people go to Formula One motor racing? I'm sorry, if they were honest, to see the crashes. It's a sad fact, but if everybody goes around and nobody touches the barrier, nobody crashes into anything, sorry, they're not, it's a little bit boring. So there's excitement with bad news, and people love to spread bad news. People love to be the bearer of bad news. So over the last 40 years, I've been in a fortunate position because of my profession to build a network in the legal world. And that just takes time. It's nothing to do with being clever. It just takes time. And because I've worked and lived in lots of different countries, I have a network of lawyers in just about any field, including criminal law. I've never stepped into that branch. But in terms of corporate law, that's where my network is. So I started to do some investigation on CashFX, not because, well, I joined already and then I started to investigate. Short story, I don't know if Peter Duke is on here, but anyway, Peter kept calling me 2 or 3 times. I knew him a little bit, not very well. And I thought, this man's going to be a pest, so I better return his call. And he told me about CashFX, and I said, well, maybe, maybe not. So I joined to stop him from calling me. I just said, okay, I'm busy. How much is it? What's the minimum? $300. Okay, fine, here you go, finished. I didn't have a Bitcoin wallet to do it. So Peter's upline, Adrian, had to help me with that. And they put $300 in for me and I paid Adrian, that was it. And I thought, well, thank God for that. I've got him off my back. I can get on with my life now. Within about 10 days, I got an email from the company. You know how this goes. You've received $9. And I didn't pay much attention to it at first, but of an evening, I sat down and I thought, on a $300 investment to pick up $9 in 10 days, there's something either very right with that or something very wrong. And that's when I started to investigate. And I looked into the company. And I looked into the company from all angles, from several different continents where CFX was operating. This is in May last year. So if you like, it's in the middle of COVID, but never mind. Here's the extraordinary thing. With any company that I've investigated, that anyone's investigated, I can name a list for you. They have a history, and they have a history of it hasn't always been good, or they haven't always been good. Okay, I hope nobody's related here to Richard Branson, but I don't care. Richard Branson, very successful, very wealthy man. But he had to do some bad stuff to get his foot on the first step of the ladder. And I'm not going to go into details, but many, many companies have a gray area. There can be the owners of the company has filed bankruptcy, tax evasion, all kinds of things, including taking civil liberties, not just corporate liberties. And they get around that, and that's how they make their money, and then off it goes. I have to this day not been able to find anything on CFX, and I haven't found anything on Huskar Lopez or Edwin Abad either. So I've looked into what they did before they started with CFX, and I still can't find any, not even a gray area, and that is very extraordinary. So if I were to endorse this company, I'd be a little bit nervous about endorsing it because there is no guarantee. Richard Mord says this in every time he comes on the camera, there is no guarantee. But if you think about it, I've had people say to me, will I have success? And I said, if you sign up with $300, you will have success. You cannot fail to have success because there's no physical product that you have to market. What I did, I'm not a networker as such in terms of MLM networking. I put in $300 and then I upped it to $3,000, and now I'm at a much higher level than that. So I'm very much of a bare capital investor, and I have a team of 30 people, not by marketing this. I just have people, calling me up saying, Chris, now that you've retired, what are you doing? And I end up telling them about CFX, not because I want them to join, but it's just what I do some of the time or most of the time now. And I just find it, maybe I've got an extra smile on my face that people haven't seen before. I mean, the corporate world of legal stuff tends to bring you down a little bit. You end up like this. Um, maybe I'm just a happier person, but people are curious as to what I'm doing, and they start to join and they don't do any research on the company. I always tell people, go and do your research, but don't do Google, and they don't know what to do. And I'm fortunate enough where people look up to me and say, well, he's a lawyer, he's a corporate lawyer, he must have done all the diligence anyone would want. And if he's in, I'm in. I'm very fortunate having that. But I suggest you use that as well. But something else, I don't know if any of you managed to catch the interview with Jojo Dinsa. Um, he is, I mean, a very influential character. The guy that I used to work for when I was in my 30s was very much like Jojo Dinsa, but he was only worth about $400 million at that time. This is a long time ago. So, Jojo being a multi-billionaire, I think around about the age of 40, he put as I understand it, his team of lawyers onto CashFX and asked them to find out if this is okay. Obviously, they came back and said, yes, we couldn't find anything. Otherwise, Jojo Dinsa, multi-billionaire, wouldn't have joined. So I feel a little bit more relaxed now where I'm not endorsing the company. I'm still saying there is a risk. Every kind of investment has a risk. But you know what? There's a risk with crossing the road as well. And if I can just steal one little thing that Jojo Dinsa said several times in his interview, people fall into two categories. They are either risk takers or they're not risk takers. And very rarely do they cross that bridge until maybe they get older and wiser and the non-risk takers become risk takers. Well, what Dinsa said was the non-risk takers always end up working for the risk takers. The risk takers are the employers. They're the ones who are willing to lose it all, perhaps. And I know many, many people who would never think about opening their own company or doing something as a one-man show entrepreneur even. And I don't bother with CashFX with them because they're not going to do it. They're the ones who prefer they say they sleep well if their money is in the bank earning nothing, and they wouldn't sleep well if they had some money here in CashFX earning 250% more than what their banks give them. For me, it's, I think everyone who's on this call can honestly say that nearly everyone you all know can afford to lose $300 because one of these is about $600. And most of us on this call would say, well, if you dropped it and it broke or you just lost it, you'd go and buy another one tomorrow. You'd find the money. So can everyone afford just $300? Afford it, put it aside, put it into CashFX. This is what I say to people. And they want to find out, is the company okay? Will I be a success? Well, put the money in there and come back 3 months later and see if you've been a success. They won't get past the first 10 days because every 7 days, an email comes to them saying they've made this much. And they don't have to be very smart to know that to get an interest of $9 or $10 on a $300 deposit, there's something very, very right or something very, very wrong. And that's what I looked into on this. I'm not looking back at all. Yes, I have a pension. I have a state pension now as well. But I also have a corporate pension. But this to me is a legacy that I'm going to leave for not so much children, they're in their mid-30s, but I have one grandson. So is this going to be a college fund for him? No, you don't need to go to college, really. I'm someone who's been 10 years in college. You don't need to go to college, not today. When I went to college, there was no internet. So I'll finish with this. look at the technology that we're all exposed to, and most of us are forced to using it because we're at home. We can't go to work, or we don't even have a job. The youngest employee that I had in my company, and my headquarters is in Ecuador. The youngest came at the age of 24, straight out of university with a degree. And he asked me a question. And it was a very honest question. I took him to lunch. He said, Chris, when you were my age, what kind of mobile phone did you have? Yeah, I just looked at him, and he realized that was a pretty dumb question. But here's someone who's born into a world where everyone has a mobile phone. Use the technology. There are some people here who are in my age bracket at least, use the technology that we never had. You know, I had to go to the library every time I wanted to look something up when I was a law student. I had to learn how to use the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, 5 seconds and you have the answer on here. And that's just with normal apps. For the legal world, there are apps that you pay for, and you get very detailed information about it. So just use the technology. Think about when people say they have to do their own research. All it is they have to have a mindset that says, yeah, there are people in this company who are lawyers. There are billionaires in this business who have researched this company. Should I go and research it as well? Because I guarantee you, even if you research it, there's still a 1% chance that you're nervous about it. I am still researching CFX and its owners every day. Not intensely, but I'm always scouring, looking for something, and I can't find anything. So there's my endorsement. Okay, any questions, anybody?
Nothing in there yet, but I'm sure they'll literally start flowing now, Chris.
Yeah, I'll rather than read them, I'll rely on somebody coming up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing
I've been
yet.
in 10 months. 10 months, that's all.
Right.
And I keep I've got like a family pack, 7 of us. And if I add up all 7, it's at $100,000. So, and I take the other 6. I'm the one who's running this, so I'm doing it. But obviously, I don't really need it. I'm doing this for fun, and it is a lot of fun. But I can see for some of the people that have joined my group, this is something peculiar for Sweden. Very, very few people have a corporate pension. Very few. I don't think it's even 2 or 3% of the population have a corporate pension, because when they start working for various companies, they're given the option if they want to contribute, and they invariably say no. Well, guess what? When they come to 65, or when they get to 60, there's a funny thing goes off in your head when you reach your 60s. They realize at 65, they've got to live off a state pension. So they've worked all their life, haven't, maybe saved a little bit, but to live off a corporate pension in Sweden, it's £1,000 British pounds per month. I know that's pretty good compared to England, but you have to remember the cost of living here is so much higher than in the UK. So it's pretty much, relatively speaking, the same, if not worse. So I'm getting the 60 pluses to join me because they want their pensions. Come in with $300. This is what I say to them. Come in with $300 before, at the age of 60. Before you're 65, you will have a $100,000 pack. At the same time that your pension kicks in, you will have about 10,000 British pounds a month coming out of this. So there's doubt, there's confusion, but they say, okay, I'm in, because they realize that their pension date is ticking, it's getting closer, and they realize they're not going to be able to pay their rent. And a lot of people here, they rent apartments rather than buy an apartment. So there's a handful of people that own all the apartments in the town that I live in, the risk takers. And here's something. Okay, I said I was going to finish on this, but it's a lot of Swedish people, they think, wouldn't it be nice to own an apartment, an extra one, not my own, and rent it out, because you get a really good revenue from that. You can pick up £500 a month in rent. £500 a month in rent. A small apartment that you could rent out for £500 a month in the town where I live will cost about £250,000. Yeah, I can see you all doing the numbers in your head. You know, 100,000 in cash effects will bring you wouldn't even be able to buy even half an apartment with that. But look at the revenue it brings compared to being an owner of flats. And I know people that own 300 or 400 flats, which they rent. And they're busy people because somebody's complaining about the washing machine broke, or, you know, all kinds of things you can imagine. With this, you have a free life. And it seriously is a free life. Okay, how are we doing with questions? I can see.
Yes, they're flowing in there now, Chris. Okay. So there's one in here from Charles. What's a family pack?
Okay. You're going to have to ask your upline or ask somebody who's more active than I am on this, because for me, a family pack would be, what it was for me is I put my wife in, I put my two boys in, I put my brother in. They're all under me. They are all individuals, but what they're saying is, look, we don't even believe in this. So you run it. You can have our identities and you run it for me. But when it gets to a lot of money, can I have it then? And I'm saying no. But they let me have. So for me, that's what a family pack is. But there's no difference unless anyone can enlighten us here. What's a family pack? I'm throwing my question back to the.
Yeah. I think that's right, Chris. Yeah, that what you're saying there. That's family pack is a unit of, you can have unit of two people, husband, wife, and a daughter or whatever, and you can grow, or three people, whatever, and you use the profits from all three to grow all the accounts. So eventually, Chris, all those 5 accounts will all get to 100 grand. On the mathematics of it, you will grow them a lot quicker on a family pack than you will on an individual pack. Right. So and there is, we have done the spreadsheets on that. So again, get back to the person, the upline. I know Michael O'Sullivan, who's a great man and the mathematician, and Martin and stuff. So there's plenty of stuff out there showing you the benefits of a family pack. So
sure. Yeah. Well, I got into the family pack with 4 people, but then that's grown to 7 now. So eventually all 7 of those will reach the $100,000 level. So yep. Then I'm going to be even more popular than I am now.
Exactly. There's one in here from Greg there, Chris. Is the ecosystem sustainable by its structure?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Is the ecosystem sustainable by its structure?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I would say yes. Richard Ward mentions this many times. We don't seem to be affected very much by what's going on with the environment, what's going on with the world economy or the country's economy. So I think it is sustainable from that point of view. I can see from the 10 months that I've been in this that there certainly is a dip in the interest, and it was much higher pre-COVID before I joined. And I'm looking forward to getting back to those days. But yeah, I think it's very sustainable.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. One in here from Teresa. Why is there no independent info on the owners, previous businesses, etc. online?
I'm going to answer that question in typical legal fashion with a question. Why would there be?
Okay.
You know, why would... You've got to remember that the 2 owners of the company are also private individuals. You know, what should they do? They shouldn't put their addresses up there or their backgrounds up there. That's up to anyone can find it if you are well enough connected. But the company that I own, which is headquartered in Ecuador, there is no information about me on there personally. And I wouldn't want it that way, especially in the legal world, because there are a gang of bandits that hunt lawyers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow. Okay.
So quick answer then, why would there be something where you can buy. If you own the company, ask yourself this: if you own the company, would you put your details up there for everyone to read? No. Okay.
Okay, perfect. I know you don't really share it with many people, Chris, but there's one in here from Nicole. What do you say to people when they ask, and how do you position the opportunity?
When they ask what?
When you're basically telling them about what you're doing and stuff, when people ask, what are you doing after you finish the corporate world, or what are you doing when you're retired?
Okay. I tell them, I'm enjoying life. I always have enjoyed life, but a lot of people who know me know that I have a background with dabbling with entrepreneurialism. So that's why their curiosity is raised. When I don't have my full-time job anymore, what am I doing? And I start off by saying I'm in investment. I don't do a presentation. I just say I invest. And I wait for the question to come back. What do you invest in? Are you buying stocks and shares? And I say, you must be kidding. It comes around. Are you dabbling in Bitcoin or foreign currency? And I say, you're getting warmer. Now, here's the thing that is important. I deliberately say to people, I could trade currencies myself, but I'm not willing to. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm not dedicated enough to do that, to sit in front of a computer screen and watch everything. And you need about 4 or 5 screens, not just one. I don't have the time or the interest to do that. So what I've done is I've found a company that does it all for me. And in the 10 months that I've been in it, not one single day has there been a negative result. Not one in 10 months. And I admit it, I'm a little bit of a numbers freak or a statistics nerd. I know the percentage of every day since the day I joined. So that's what I say to them. Why would anyone want to dabble in something like this? What do you know about currency trading? I don't. If you've got a toothache and you don't know anything about dentistry, would you take a drill into your tooth? No, you go see someone who knows what they're doing. If you've got a legal issue with a corporation, I think you'd find a corporate lawyer to fix it for you rather than represent yourself in court. So if you want to do, if people are interested in foreign currency, find an expert who knows what he's doing. And this to me is foolproof. There's my answer.
Perfect. Thank you. There's just an appreciative message in here from Charles. I've tried to do due diligence in the past and it rarely works. Appreciate what you've shared and the way you've shared it as well. So thank you for that.
Okay.
There's another one in here. If you could start from the beginning again, do you have any advice as to how you might start differently now that you know the potential of CFX?
Nope. I will honestly say I wouldn't do anything different.
Okay.
I put my toe in the water for $300 to get rid of Peter Duke ringing me.
Yep.
And it only took 10 days for me to get my first email. And that opened up my eyes. There's something here that's either very right or very wrong. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't do anything different. I've now come up to a very nice income from it, which I'm not touching. As I said to Donald, all 7 accounts in my family pack is going to reach 100,000. So there'll be a $700,000 investment there.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, one in here from Dominic. In Ireland, pyramid schemes are illegal. Pretty sure in the rest of the world, which we know. From looking at the matrix structure, it's a closed pyramid. Is this legal? I love this business, but I would like to know your opinion on this as well, please, Chris.
This is Dominic?
This is Dominic, yes.
Okay. Dominic, I said this on one of the calls before when I was a guest or called upon. In any corporation, other than a one-man show where you're doing everything by yourself, say a window cleaner or a plumber, as soon as you employ one person, well, that's not a pyramid. Let's say as soon as you employ 2 people, who's going to be the boss? Well, if you're doing the employing, it's you. So now you've got a pyramid structure that's starting to build because the 2 employees are going to be under you. let's say the firm grows and you need more plumbers or you need more painters or whatever. They're all going to be under you, and you'll find that you don't want to manage all of them and do everything yourself. So you get an accounts manager. Is the accounts manager above you in this pyramid form? It's a pyramid form, not a scheme that I'm referring to. A scheme is something different. But in a pyramid form, the owner is at the top. The senior accountant possibly somewhere parallel with the manager. And you leave it all to the manager and go and play golf. I mean, that's what you do when you are a risk taker and you take it seriously with the company. Yes, you carry the responsibility, but you're forming a pyramid. What I say to people is two things. I either say, name a company that has got more than 2 employees plus the boss, so that's 3, that isn't in the physical form of a pyramid. The church is in the form of a pyramid. The army, the navy, the government, it's all in the form of pyramid. And I've never come across another way to do this. It's pyramid format. A pyramid scheme is something completely different, and people just don't get that. Pyramid scheme, there is no product, and the guy at the top runs away before the product arrives, and they don't last more than 9 weeks. So it definitely is not a pyramid scheme or anything like that. It's in the form of a pyramid. None of us, I mean, Richard Moore just made ambassador. He's not going to be Huskar's boss, and he'll get the global ambassador. He's not going to be Huskar Lopez's boss. Huskar and Edwin will always be at the top, and we're all going to be underneath somewhere. Another thing you can say, Dominic, when somebody raises that question for you, is this a pyramid? First of all, quantify it by saying, yes, it's a pyramid, but it's not a pyramid scheme. And my question is, which pyramid are you working for? I've had people say that to me. Oh, I don't work for a pyramid. Okay, which company do you work for? Volvo, very popular here in Sweden, or SKF, or whatever. And I say, okay, so I draw a triangle, and I say, here's the chief, here's the boss. Where are you in this triangle? Middle management, somewhere about here? Yeah. You're in a pyramid form, that's all. Every single company. So ask them, which pyramid are you working for? I'm in a pyramid. Admit it, don't deny it, because there is no company that cannot be in a, whether it's a matrix, whether it's a binary, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's in the form of a pyramid. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. There's one in there from Jeannie. Will the company be able to transition to trading purely cryptocurrencies if fiat currencies become obsolete in the next 5 years?
I really don't know. I mean, that's a question for someone like Edwin Abaden, who is a master in this kind of thing with currencies. I really don't know. It's hard to say, because that's a bit of crystal ball gazing. There's a team of people out there who say that the Bitcoin is going to die. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Okay. Maybe, maybe not. But Elon Musk a month ago bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and the price went up $11,000 per coin. So if he had cashed it in, he would have made more than the 1.5 billion that he spent. But he didn't. I mean, he didn't. So there are people, the guy who wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he goes on about Bitcoin all the time. Cryptocurrency seems to be the way of the future. And I happen to know, I'm sure a lot of you know too, a lot of governments are trying to find how they can have their own crypto. And when you think about it, Bitcoin is not controlled by any one person, by any one country. It is completely managing it itself. Mr. Tsukayoshi, who invented the whole thing, he hasn't got any control over it. We don't know even if he exists. So for the government, if the British government was to form their own crypto, it would die before it starts, because there's the government controlling it. The idea of a cryptocurrency is it's controlled by the blockchain. So there's my answer. I think personally, I think crypto is here to stay, but I can't prove that. Somebody needs to make a time machine.
Okay, perfect. Another one in here. Is there a limit on to how many you can have in your family pack? No.
If you've got 50 people in your
bring them on.
Yeah. Every single pack is individual. As Donald just clarified, having the family pack means you are raking in the interest from all of them and building up one pack, and then you use the interest from the others to build up another pack, and so forth. So what I understand you cannot do is I can't go and open 5 accounts as me. You can have one for yourself as a private individual and one if you have a company. That's it.
Perfect. There's another one in here from John Hancock. Can I open a pack for my 7-year-old daughter?
No,
certainly not. They have to be over 18.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not the company putting a rule on it. That's the law.
Yeah. Okay. Another one in here from Heather Millen. Where does the tax man feature in our CFX earnings? So what we always advise everyone is to go back to, we're not tax advisors, consultants or anything. So always go back to a tax specialist because it does different in every country you're in as well.
Yeah. Here's what I tell people, and I get asked that question a lot. CFX is in many, many different countries. I don't know how many, say over 100. CFX would have to learn the tax rules for every single one of those countries if they were to take the responsibility of deducting the tax and paying you the net amount. So rather than do that, all MLM companies do this. You sort your taxes out in your country. It's a self-declaration system. But a lot of countries' tax authorities have a very low tax threshold for investment income. Investment income is not the same as income because presumably you've already paid taxes on the money that you've invested. So if you declare your investment income, you're not going to lose a hell of a lot, but it keeps you on the right side of the law. Don't get caught driving around in your Porsche or Ferrari and you don't have a job, because I know it doesn't happen so much in England, but in other countries, certainly in Sweden, if your relatives don't pick up the phone and make an anonymous call, your neighbors will. Yeah, tax is your responsibility. Absolutely nobody else. It is your responsibility. Declare it and pay what you have to, but declare it as CFX money is investment income, not work income. It's treated very differently in most countries. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Another one in here from Guy Smith. How long do you think CFX will last? 5 years, 10 years, or more? We get this all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're a young person, if this lasts 5 years, let's say it lasts 5 years, everyone will have got their money back in 5 years. But when I hear the likes of Huskar Lopez talking, they're planning things that are 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ahead. One thing that would worry me if Huskar and Edwin were my age, there might be a little bit of thought going through my head was, wait a second, they're approaching their 70th birthday soon. When this builds up to a sensible amount of money, take the money and run. But they're young guys, they're in their 40s, early 40s. They have got a reputation behind them, which they can't afford to lose. And, they may be multi-millionaires, doesn't matter, but they still have a reputation. And they are governed by laws and all kinds of regulatory bodies in the countries that they are domiciled in. So they're not going to screw it up to themselves. I personally believe there's at least 15, 20 years, if not more. But we're guessing. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the next 5? Look what's happened in the last year. If somebody had told you 3 billion people are going to be in lockdown inside 12 months, would you have believed them? No. So in the next year, there could be massive changes for the good or for the bad. We don't know. So live for today.
Perfect. One in here from Shane Foley. I'd like to hear Chris's opinion on whether there should be more information with regard to terms or contract information. We rely on our upline for help with queries, and there is an FAQ section, but there should be more info available to users.
Okay, well, the FAQ section is really a synopsis of the most popular questions. And if you read through them, everyone has that kind of question in their mind. To get detail really on individual questions, the FAQ section would be, I don't know, 100 pages long. Nobody would want to go through it to find their question. So my suggestion is, if you have a deep question, ask support. If it's not your upline or your upline's upline, ask support. They may take a few days to answer you, but you will get an answer. You cannot have a company gives out so much information that the compensation plan runs into volume 1 and volume 2. It's a synopsis of how this company works, and it's a synopsis of the typical questions. You know, and that's really what I would do if I were running the company as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, this is another bit, I don't know who this one's from, it's just iPhone. Why is there not a cap on the amount that you lose on any given day? Example, when you lose 10%, you stop trading that day. That way you're protected and cannot lose all your investment in one day. Now, I think that's more technical than a lawyer's response.
Yeah.
I think that's more for the traders.
Okay. I know that from talking to people that when CashFX is trading our money, they might do a trade, whether it's done electronically or whether it's done by a professional manually. It might be a bad trade and they'll lose on that one trade. As I understand it, trades can last several minutes. Buy it, it moves, sell it. And they're doing that all day long. There's going to be some minuses, but you can see overall 10 months that I've been in this, 5 days a week, it's a positive balance every single day, usually on average above 1%. So don't even worry about that. These guys have been doing this all their professional lives, trading currency. So don't get into that. For the company to cap it, maybe they do. Maybe they have automatic stop losses. I don't know. But that's not really, you know, that's more of the copy trading side. Yeah. This is something that is automated. It's going to be more automated as soon as we get past COVID, because this is all going to be done by computers and algorithms. Then we can go back to that 15% a week, which is down the tubes there for us. Okay?
Perfect. This is a really good point as well. We're just referring back to pyramid schemes from Joan Strachan here. With regards to pyramid schemes question, I got to the top of 2 network marketing companies previously and way overtook my uplines. Hence, not a pyramid shape in sight. So I think that's good reassurance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, here's what, you know, I've done this with people. If you draw out a pyramid in the air or on a piece of paper and you say to somebody, this is the boss. I did this, we have a nuclear power station that's pretty near to us. And the boss is on, I think, about 6 million Swedish krona a year. Not a bad salary. That's about 600,000 pounds. She's at the top of the pyramid. There are 15,000 employees. And this guy who was asking me, he worked for the company, Ringhouse. So I said, where in this pyramid form are you? And he was kind of closer to the base than he would have liked to admit, but that's where it was. So I said, if you work all the hours God gave you, as hard as you can, you go to college in the evening, you don't sleep. If you do that for 6 years, could you get to the top of the pyramid and take your boss's job, the chairman's job? And he said, no, not a chance. And I said, well, in network marketing, you can. That's the difference. You can overtake your sponsor. I mean, I've sponsored people who are, maybe they're going to overtake me because I'm very much of a bear capital investor. And I haven't yet found someone who's a real bull investor who's going to run away with this. But I haven't even, listen, folks, I have not even reached the first rank yet of executive because if I went to executive, I'd get paid from the 6th and 7th level. I don't have anyone past the 5th level.
Yet.
Yet. It will happen, I'm sure, but that's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
There's one in here from Emma Gerling, and I know the answer is yes, because we always have to get permission. Do you have to have the permission from the family members whenever you buy them a pack?
Strictly speaking, yes, you do. That just, even if it's a verbal agreement, I mean, if it's your son or daughter and they say, yeah, you're going to say to them, I'm going to put you into this. It's not going to cost you a penny. I'm doing it all. And when I'm dead and gone, by the way, this is an intellectual property. That's what CashFX is. All MLMs are. They are intellectual properties. And what that means is it's passed on in your will. So your sons and daughters will inherit whatever you're building. It's like a house or a car. That's called an intellectual property. They will inherit it. So I hope that's an answer.
Perfect. And this one here is in from Christopher Connolly. When will copy trading be put into the next stage? So obviously at the minute, we know where everything is in testing phase at the minute. So once that testing phase is over, the company will release more information to us. But at the minute, all we know is it's being tested at the minute. And once all the testing is over, it will be released to all of us. Yep. Yeah. And that's it.
Good, because I couldn't answer that one.
Yep. That's it. That's all the questions there at the minute. Leo, okay. Do you want to say anything there?
I think I've said enough, really.
Yeah.
No, I suppose the message is, here's my number one message. Don't use Google, and tell your prospects that you're talking about, don't use Google. You will find all the trash that can be found. And I frequently liken Google to the same thing as a public toilet wall. Anyone can write anything on there. Do you believe it? And if your doctor or your lawyer or your solicitor Googled your question, wouldn't you change your doctor or lawyer or solicitor? It means they don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to go and ask the public toilet wall.
Okay, perfect. There's a lot of stuff coming in here, Chris, with regards to tax. So what I'm going to do is literally bounce that back to everyone. And always what we tell all our downlines, uplines, what our uplines tell us is always make sure that you speak to a tax expert in your country, because it does differ from country to country and in different jurisdictions as well. All right. So again, we're not tax advisors and we can't give out any tax advice because we have to go to our accountants as well and our tax experts. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one in here. What is the best way to use the family pack? Just basically build underneath them.
Yeah.
And that's really it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you put your third person in, they go in that row of 3 people on your front line. The fourth family person that you put in, if you are the sponsor, will go into the second row, in the second line. That's why, if you look on the back office, you'll see this is called a 3x10 matrix system. So it starts 1 with you at the top, then 3, then 9, then 27, then I think it's 81, all the way down. And it ends up being about, I don't know, 50, 60,000 people on the 10th row. So yeah, just okay, use some strategy here, and really they need to check this with their upline. If it's family, don't be this is what I've done. I am not the sponsor or the enroller of all other 6 people. I'm the enroller of 3, and my wife is the enroller of the next 3, because when the bonus system goes, that the unit level will increase that way. And that's just a smarter way to do it. If you're front line, yes, and everybody gets to the $100,000 pack, excellent, because you're going to get 15% every time they upgrade. But if it's a family member who becomes the sponsor, or somebody under them even becomes the sponsor, that unit level is going to roll up on each level. And that may not make any sense, but study your back office. If you've built a small team, look at the unilevel bonuses. I mean, if you're going to put it under your son and the next person, the next family member, let your son be the sponsor. So there's 2 unilevels coming out of that, as well as your son will be getting the 15% bonus. The others are picking up 10. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Another one in here from Tom, and this actually does really come up quite a lot. And it says, what happens after the death of a member? If I have completed the beneficiary details in the back office, is it just a death cert that's required, or does it have to go through a solicitor?
Okay, you would need to get in touch with support in the company and explain, and they will ask for a death certificate, and they would ask for who is the next of kin. So you just have to make those statements. At some stage, the company may require you to go and get a lawyer to attest to it, to put their stamp on it. Other than that, this is, as I said before, it's an intellectual property which is willable or can be transferred to the next of kin. If they haven't made a will, now that's a different issue altogether, because then it's called the person has died intestate, which means the government gets involved and sees who's going to get what. But I think if you're in if you have a family business or a family pack, then everybody in that family pack should have access to the passwords and the usernames. Maybe not to access it every day, but you should, write it all on a piece of paper and put it in the safe somewhere, or put it in your bank vault or something. That's important. Because the first thing, when somebody passes away, the last thing, but the first thing is to start looking at what did that person own. And you don't want to give them something to unravel here. I mean, you need the email address that's registered, you need the username, and if possible, the password. Okay.
Perfect, okay. So if you didn't use Google, this is from Hugh, what did you do instead in order to carry out due diligence?
If you don't use Google, you got to use common sense.
Yeah.
Unless you have a network of corporate lawyers who are friends and you can call upon, then you're stuck to common sense. Come in with $300, see what happens. I had to, I've done this with every network that I've been in, get involved and start reverse engineering it. Where did that bonus come from? Where did that commission? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? If you stand on the outside trying to figure it out, it's like driving a car, isn't it? I saw my father drive a car for years and I knew how to do it. But when I got in the driver's seat and had to do it myself, it was very different. So I would say to anyone, you're not going to find all of that out from being on the outside. You've got to be on the inside. Personally, I would even give somebody, or I would guarantee a good friend or family, I'd say, I will guarantee this $300. If the company fails or if everything is wrong, I'll give you your $300 back. That's a statement of trust. That's a statement of what this company is really worth. But due diligence is not that easy to do. You've got to get connected. Go to someone who is much older, who is connected.
Okay, perfect. Another one in here from Christopher Murray. I have been asked as follows, will an investor be able to withdraw all their funds if ever needed in an emergency, any number of years down the line?
All of the generated interest, yes. The capital deposit, I understand it can be withdrawn, but you lose, first of all, 30% because that went into the matrix, and then you lose another 20% because if you were to cash it out, so you lose 50%. Mm-hmm. And that's actually in the rules. That's in the compensation plan, and it's in the FAQs. But to answer the question, any interest that is generated, yes, it can be drawn out.
Perfect. Another one in here. When will they close the doors of the company to new members?
We don't know. We have to be in Huskar Lopez's mind. I don't know. I'd be guessing. One thing, I can understand why there is a necessity to close the door. If anyone's got one of those big calculators that go through any string of numbers, let's say we've got, I think we're getting close to 190,000 people now. I've heard Richard say this, is it 1,000 people a day that are joining? Something like that. Well, there's 365 days of the year. If we've got in round numbers 200,000, to get to 500,000 is only 300 days away. That's before Christmas. So imagine 500,000 people all trying to get to that $100,000 package. The company would have so much money, it's not scalable. I mean, the company couldn't go and buy, $150 billion worth of Japanese yen, keep it for 4 minutes and sell it. There must be some kind of regulation to stop currency markets being cornered like that. Long time ago, I worked for a guy who was a commodity trader, and he actually tried to corner the global market for copper. And he got to the point where he owned 60% of the copper in the world. Since then, it's all been there's a regulation to stop you doing that. You can't have Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos buying all the gold in the world, or all the silver in the world, or all the copper in the world. So there are regulatory bodies that stop that happening. If there was 500,000, let's say 1 million people in CashFX, it becomes unmanageable because they cannot trade with that amount of capital. They'd have to say, right, we'll trade with 10% of what's in the box today. There'd be billions and billions. If you buy that many, euro with pounds, or swapping your dollars for Japanese yen, it will upset markets so badly that you'll be stopped. So that's why I don't know for sure, but I think that at some point, I don't know when we get to 300, 400, 500,000, maybe more, maybe less, they'll close the door, which means no more new people, but all of us who are in that room, we're in a happy little private club. But it means nobody will be able to join and start sponsoring people. They would just be bare capital. They wouldn't be bull traders. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And Jeannie's saying here, will I be able to share this Zoom recording with a friend? So these recordings are for just investors that are already in CFX, so not to be shared outside CFX. If they're an investor within CFX, yes, no problem at all. All right. And there's another one in here from Malcolm Webb. Why does your presentation chart say on a 10K package that you will have $350 after paying your 20% fee when it's currently less at $280? This means it takes longer to get to the upgrade level. Just asking, not being negative. Thank you.
Okay. Shall I answer it?
Yeah.
The reason for these deductions upon deposit, so you've only got 70% that's in the trading pool, and then upon withdrawal, you get 80% of what the trading pool has earned for you. It is to feed the matrix. It goes into the bonus system. It goes into up to 10,000 people above you in the matrix system, and it's divided up. If we didn't have that, then there would be no company. What CashFX would have to do is advertise, do you want to join CashFX? In other words, the company's not advertising anywhere. We are all doing that for them, and we need to get paid. So the company doesn't keep any of that money at all. That's not their source of revenue. That's in the compensation plan. That's in the frequently asked questions. The 20% and 30% is distributed in the matrix system, which means your upline and up to 10,000 people above you or more.
Okay, perfect. There is no more questions in there at the minute, so there's not. Don't know, Martin, do you want to say anything there?
Oh, we're fine. We're grand.
Yes.
That's great. I know, must say there's been it's been a fantastic interview, Celine and Leonora, this morning. Very, very interesting. Absolutely. I must say it's a lot of great, I must say well done to Chris, because this is literally only a few days ago that I started said to Chris about coming on and doing the call this morning. So I must say thank you, Chris. It's been fantastic, and for doing this for us, you know. And hopefully this has been reassuring to a lot of people. I know, because I know when I hear that Chris had got involved, Celine, back a year ago, that gave me some reassurance. Do you know what I mean? When I knew that Chris, because when Adrian had said to me about Chris, and when Chris came back and was telling us, do you know what I mean, of his due diligence, that gave me reassurance, because you know, where does the ordinary lay person go and get that due diligence? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm the marketer. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're going, and as what Chris says, on who. For me, it was the fact that when I did do a bit of research into Ron Pope, his background, and who he was, and I knew that if he was involved, that's the one thing that kept coming up for me. Well, why is Ron Pope involved? Like, when you research who he is, that was the one reason for me. I thought, this guy Ron Pope, who's a multi-millionaire, wouldn't put his name to this if these boys didn't, if he didn't believe in them, you know.
Yeah.
If what Chris says there also, a lot of it comes back to common sense. What Chris said at the start with the phones, you know, if you take a mobile phone today, mobile phone is going to be €600 or €700 or pounds, you know, and you just go out and you'll buy it, and you won't even think twice, you know. Common sense, you know, if you want to go to the end of the year to do due diligence, you know, for $300, you know, it is crazy. And again, when you look at the quality of people that have joined this company, like Chris there, who's a barrister, who would have had his inside contacts to do all the detailed examination of the company. Plus, you have Joe Jardins there, a billionaire, not a millionaire, you know, coming into the company, and I'm sure he would have done his work also. You know, it's really a no-brainer. And thanks very much, Chris. You answered the questions fantastic, and your interview was superb.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question to put to everyone here. There's 204 people on here. Wow. You've all got a job or had a job. Did you do any due diligence on the company before you took the job? No, I'll tell you so. I'll guarantee most of you, more than 90% of you, said, when do I start? You didn't go and Google them. You didn't go and find out if they're a bunch of crooks who's running the company. Nobody did their due diligence on a job that they're going to run their families and pay their mortgage with and pay for the car loan that they're going to have. But why somebody needs to do due diligence on a $300 investment when you blow double that amount on a mobile phone? If you drop this down the toilet tomorrow, you'd find the money to go and buy another one, unless you're dumb enough to pick it up and clean it.
You definitely go and buy another one, 100%.
You know, there's a lot of fuss made about due diligence. Most people haven't got a clue how to do it. They think asking their brothers and sisters and relatives, oh, I'm going into this MLM company. What's the first thing they're going to say? They're all illegal pyramids. You're going to go to jail, you know. But they never, ever think about doing due diligence on the employer before they take that job.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, can I just say that for a second, Donald? Yes. Just come in there for a minute. I mean, this.
Well, hi, Billy, go on ahead.
In the last 10 or 11 months that I've been involved in this, I have to say that this morning's call, this morning's interview, this Zoom, this has been the best I've ever seen. I mean, this is the most powerful information that's been ever shared with us in this business or in any business in terms of how good what we've got is. I mean, I'm buzzing with it. Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. It's been brilliant.
Pleasure. And I really had to put in zero effort on this because this is what I do. This is what I've been doing for 40 years. And it kind of got boring after 40 years. I'm just glad that it's of use to people now.
Yeah, perfect. And the last one in here from Charles, can I upgrade while you're on the smaller packs? 100%. You can go from $300 to $1,000 or $100,000 in one go if you wish. So you can upgrade anytime, no problem at all. So on that note, there's nothing more in here apart from powerful session, great information, excellent call, absolutely 100% correct. Thanks, Chris. Everyone's so appreciative. So I'm going to hand over to Theo.
Leo, yeah. Because I know Leo has maybe a few questions, maybe too. I'm thinking.
Oh
maybe
no,
Leo-
I mean, Chris has covered so much, and thanks very much for that, Chris. That's been brilliant. And I think we wanted to do this call today because it tends to be something that a lot of people come across. You'll get the Google response back from prospects. People will look up Google and come up with some nonsense.
No, I'll tell you what people don't understand is, what is Google for? Well, you come into a new town, you're driving, you want to find out where's the nearest McDonald's. You know that the chances are that's going to be 100% accurate. There's no haters on there. That's what Google is for. Or how long has the so-and-so company been established for, and where is it domiciled? Nobody's going to lie about that. That's what Google is for, really. But to find out, to use Google and take everything that is written there as gospel, you need to Google yourself.
Yeah, you might be surprised what you find.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But no, I'm so glad that this morning's been so useful, and really appreciate Chris's time. And hopefully that provides you maybe with a bit of confidence, because a lot of this is, whenever you're talking to people, is having your own posture. And if you're putting out a confident posture, chances are you won't get some of these responses coming back.
No, true.
So
okay.
knowledge is very useful to have. So thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Perfect. So basically there's nothing more in the chat box there now. So all I want to say is thanks very much for today. And this recording will be posted out into the WhatsApp groups as well. And then you can literally send that on down to your downlines as well. So today is Thursday. Tomorrow obviously is Friday, which is the last day of the week, but not the last day of the business. And 9:30 tomorrow morning is your prospects call, and then 8:30 tomorrow night. And then we have our training with Richard Maud on Saturday, and then back to live prospects calls on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then we have get started training on Tuesday morning and Tuesday night as well.
Great.
So that's everything for today. So everyone, thanks very much for today. Have a lovely day, have a lovely weekend, and we will all see you next week for another special guest speaker. All will be revealed.
Keep next Thursday morning free as well.
Yeah.
Big call, ladies.
Yeah, if you think this is great, next week's going to be great too. All right. Yeah.
Thank
Chris,
you, girls.
again,
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
thank you very much for
Chris.
your time as well.
Everybody.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Thanks
Bye-bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have
David.
a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.